Welcome back, everybody, to the Podecito podcast. I am your host, Surreal469. Thank you for joining me as we journey episode by episode through our collective favorite show. Of course, I am talking about the incomparable Las Vegas. This episode is one of my favorites, one of my personal favorites. Apparently, the critics didn't like this as much as I did. I'm going to go ahead and spoil it for you. I think it's better than the critic gave it credit for. This is The Family Jewels. The Family Jewels is episode 21 of the season and the series, don't you know? And it debuted in April 26th of 2004. The critics over at IMDb gave this a 7.4 out of 10. The crew over at LasVegas-theseries.com, courtesy of the Wayback Machine. Go ahead and support the Wayback Machine if you can, however much you can. According to them, this garners a 3.5 out of 10 rating, giving it an aggregate rating of 7.2 out of 10 or a C-. I think this episode is better than a C-. We're going to see how much better than a C- in just a few minutes. This episode was, get the housekeeping out of the way, it was directed by the prolific Timothy Busfield and written by Ava Nagorski. Now, Ava Nagorski only has 5 things credited to her on IMDb. This episode of Las Vegas is her third. The first thing she did was an episode of SVU, which does not fit the tone of Las Vegas, at least this episode of Las Vegas, very specifically. She also did an episode of a drama with Bebe Neuwirth and Oliver Platt called Deadline in 2001. Again, not the same tone. She did this episode. She did a short called Solidarity. Don't know what that is. And then she did a video in 2006 is the last thing she wrote, called Battling Eating Disorders. Now, Las Vegas sticks out of this list like a sore thumb. And yet, she manages to hit a home run or at least a triple. As we whoosh through the desert side of Las Vegas Strip into the casino, we whoosh past a whole bunch of different people, including one guy who's standing in the middle of the casino reading a magazine for some reason. This is what you pick up when you watch the whooshes frame by frame. And a couple of brides. We go to our boys, Danny and Mike, as they come through the casino, and Danny informs Mike that he's needed upstairs. Mike thinks it's to meet the company shrink, and he's a little bit worried about that, and he has every reason to be, because apparently the company shrink informed Brunson of things that he found that made Brunson fire half the New Orleans staff.
Don't worry. I heard Brunson fired half the staff in New Orleans because this Dr. Wilson said the people were psychologically incompatible with corporate culture.
What? New Orleans? Our New Orleans crew? The same New Orleans crew with AJ and John Castile and Pops? Not that same New Orleans crew. Maybe they were the ones that made it. They would have had to have been the ones that made it. But I wonder if this was a little clue from GST to give to Eva Nagorski that maybe, just maybe, the New Orleans spinoff didn't exactly wow the people at NBC. Mind you, this is the same NBC that was still running Man versus Average Joe or whatever stupid things that they were running. So while NBC had some hits around this time, they also had some duds, and I would have put New Orleans up against some of the duddiest duds that they had running at this time. But, you know, who am I? In any event, I'm going to take a pause here and try to get to something a little bit lighter, because the thought of the New Orleans crew being cast aside is just, it just breaks my heart. Music cues. Why don't we do a music cue? If you're watching on the original version, hey, Surreal, you have the original version? No, I don't have the original version. If you're watching on the original version, you're going to hear a song called I'm Gonna Shock You, Daddy by Ursula 1000. If you're watching on the DVD, it sounds like it's a production song. I can't place it. If you're watching it on streaming, Peacock, Amazon, Roku, maybe there's another streaming service, let me know. You're going to hear a song called Thin Girl Rollin', which actually isn't a bad song. I don't hate it. By Mercury Head and Rob Ellison. That's what you're going to hear. So Mike is a little bit worried about the company shrink. Danny tells him not to worry. That's not what he needs to go upstairs for. Apparently, he's needed by Luis. You see a diamond merchant at $5 million in loose stones ripped off out of his suite. And we whoosh up the elevator into the suite, past the cops and a bodyguard, in to see Luis. And Luis is questioned by Mike as to why he's needed there. Apparently,
I saw that virtual model you built for the Van Damme case. You're pretty good at this stuff.
My reputation precedes me. Diamond salesman.
Danny is immediately laughing at Mike's gained confidence. He's like, okay, this guy. Listen, Danny, that confidence doesn't come out of nowhere, boy. He knows what he's doing. So it's from here that Mike starts asking questions from Luis just to kind of assess the situation. They need to figure out how the diamonds could have gotten out of there. They weren't on anybody who was in the suite, which was the merchant, his bodyguards, and the bellman at the time. And they brought Mike up to see if there's some way that somebody could have gotten into the suite to sneak the diamonds out. They're thinking window washers or from another room maybe, which would have been hard to confirm. I would think they would check one of the adjacent rooms because those would be the rooms most likely to be in on it. You wouldn't do it from 3 or 4 floors down or up. In any event, they're asking Mike to help out. Mike is asking all the investigative questions, not even necessarily that you would ask if you had seen too many investigative shows, but somebody who knows a thing or two. And according to this show, Mike is the smartest. He's not just the coolest guy in Vegas. He's also the smartest guy in Vegas. So take that, Danny McCoy, you sexiest man in Vegas. Mike is the coolest and the smartest. So, yeah. We whoosh back down the elevator, through the casino, into their hallway, and into surveillance. And Ed is talking to the bellboy who is in that suite. His name is Archie. And Archie he's got this cheruby face. You know who he reminds me of? He reminds me of the brother on Hannah Montana. And I had to look it up because I know that the brother on Hannah Montana was like 87 years older than the rest of the cast. But apparently this wasn't him. It's just somebody who looks like him. And he tells Ed that he knows all about the cameras and that he'd have to be stupid to try to get away with it. And Ed retorts with,
very, very stupid. But if you had nothing to do with it, here's what I'm left with. Spider-Man. Spider-Man's pulling diamond heists in Las Vegas.
And we cut to the intro. The best damn intro in the business. You don't skip this intro. Why would you skip this intro? If you have a streaming service that you're watching this on that's asking you if you want to skip this intro, you skip that streaming service. Or not. I'm not your boss. I can't tell you what to do. We take an aerial shot over the Vegas Strip, and it's amazing. And we see this bride making out with this guy in this suit, and she is called by this other guy who is dressed like a groom. Wait a minute. Did she make out with some guy that wasn't her groom? Well, we'll get back to that. You see, Sam meets with her big whale, Cole. She gets a hug from him. And she asks about Christina, but more specifically, Christina's cookies. Before we get to Christina and her cookies, because we're going to be meeting a lot of people here, let's get them out of the way. Jay Harrington is the one who plays Cole. Now, who is Jay Harrington? Accomplished actor Jay Harrington, aside from when he's not playing in the entertainment league of the NBA. Yes, he plays in the NBA E-League, apparently, and a local hockey team. This guy, this everyday guy, this Joe Schmo, this average Joe looking guy that you see here is not the Jay Harrington that we have today. Oh no, let's talk about Mr. Harrington. Harrington, his first role was in Pacific Blue in 98. He then did 10 episodes of The Division as Theodore Blumenthal. He also did, and here's where you may know him from. I saw this, but I didn't recognize him from this because I wanted to forget this ever existed. He was in the failed NBC attempt to recreate the BBC show Coupling. Remember that? Do you remember you have to remember the BBC show Coupling. It was a huge hit. Like, it reached all the way over here to the US, like, in real time. Like, this was, you got to think 2002, 2003. This was still the relatively early stage of the internet. And what helped it was that it was on the channels that carried BBC here. So, like, the local channels, here, at least here in LA, they would carry BBC shows on the UHF channels. You kids don't know anything about what these are. So the UHF channels are the local channels, right? They're where you get to see PBS, at least in LA. They may be different on the dial wherever you are. But here in LA, our local big time channels are at the front of the dial. 2, 4, 5, 7, 9, 11, and 13. As you go up the dial, 28, 30, 56, 58, those are the local channels. And those very often had international shows. They had Canadian shows like the Red Green Show, which I saw and loved. It had the Newsroom, the original Newsroom, which was a Canadian show and very surreal at the end. Also very funny. And it also had BBC shows. That's where I got to see Are You Being Served and other shows like that, Keeping Up Appearances, and the BBC show Coupling. And that was the only one that they played in real time. It was such a hit, they had to recreate it here in the U.S. And as a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure that whole process was the inspiration for the not Joey, I want to call him Joey, he's not Joey, for the Matt LeBlanc show episodes, which chronicles the tales of a writing team who has a hit show in the UK and brings it over to the US and the disasters that the US entertainment system does to a hit UK show. I'm pretty sure that Coupling was the inspiration for that. But Coupling was a huge hit, very smart, very funny, very sexy. Co-starred an early Gina Bellman, who went on to play Sophie in Leverage, also starring Elliot Spencer, a.k.a. Christian Kane from the last episode. All these things connect. And so when they brought it to the U.S., Jay Harrington played the male lead. And it failed. It sucked. It was a disaster. Because all they did was transfer the show, they word for word, scenario by scenario, over to the U.S., and it was terrible. Terrible. It was just before they did it with The Office. The Office went on to be a big hit. Coupling did not. It only got 11 episodes. I think they gave him this guest starring spot to try to make it up to him. I think NBC felt bad for him because they knew that they screwed up, and so they gave him this. He also went on to do 10 episodes of a show. I talked a lot about Coupling because there's a huge... Go find videos on Coupling on YouTube or Rumble or wherever you find videos on that stuff. That story is... Matter of fact, go find the 13-week theater episode on Coupling on YouTube. 13-week theater. And enjoy that channel. That's fantastic. Anyway, he starred in Summerlin for 10 episodes with Lori Loughlin, Aunt Becky from Full House. The less said about her, the better. You may recognize him as Dr. Ron McCready because he did 7 episodes of Desperate Housewives, where I first recognized him, though, because I saw this show and I really liked this show. Better Off Ted. He played Ted. 26 episodes. Very short-lived show on ABC, but it was great. ABC had some good shows around this time that they just didn't believe in or stick with, especially if it wasn't called The Bachelor. He also did 11 episodes of Hot in Cleveland. The latest thing you can see him in is in SWAT on CBS, where he plays Sergeant David Deacon K for at least 149 episodes. I don't know how much longer that's going, and that is a very different... You won't recognize him in that. He's basically did the Josh Duhamel change, metamorphosis. He got more into working, big buff and the big mountain man beard, and looks like he looks like you don't want to mess with him. Here he looks soft and lovable and nice and every man, and that's how he got cast for stuff. And I think whatever the change, he looks like he's got a closet full of flannel now. So that's Jay Harrington. And met by his assistant, Christina, who is in charge of the cookies that Sam loves so much. Let's go back to that. You see, Christina basically is mobbed by Sam, who tells her that she can't control herself with the cookies.
Listen, I gotta tell you, my clients bring me a lot of presents, jewelry, clothes. I got a car once. I gave it back.
I almost can't believe Sam gave the car back. Feel like she'd sell it, but okay. Or use it as a perk for another client. That sounds more like Sam. That definitely sounds more like Sam. Anyway.
but I look forward to your cookies the most.
Hey, I helped.
Helped? You ate half of them.
And you can see there with their banter and the way Cole is leaned up with Christina, they immediately, this is good direction by Timothy Busfield, this good banter by Eva, they immediately feel like a couple, right? Well, let's talk about that in a second. You see, Cole is leaned up against Christina. Who is Christina? Christina is played by the late, great, underrated Lisa Sheridan. Lisa Sheridan went to study in Moscow and performed in Fringe Theater in London before she got over to LA, which she did in 97 with an episode of Step by Step. Ironically enough, I am watching Step by Step right now for another project I'm working on. Don't tell nobody. She did 13 episodes of a show called Freaky Links as Chloe Tanner. That may be where you know her from. I, of course, know her from this episode of Las Vegas where she's playing Christina Fuentes. She did the thing that a lot of other people do. Remember I talked about that? They did Las Vegas and then they did Monk, or Monk and then Las Vegas. She then did an episode of Monk as Lizzie Talvo. She was also in, keeping the Las Vegas connection together, the original CSI in 2004. Don't you know? She did a couple other... Actually, she did the CSI gamut. She did New York. She did Miami. She tried to get into the Christmas gimmick, the Christmas movie of the week gimmick, A Magic Christmas, as Holly in 2014. She did a movie with Burt Reynolds, a TV movie called Category 5. She did a movie with Shirley MacLaine. Oh my goodness, she's got the whole thing here. She also did something with Taye Diggs, an episode of Murder in the First. The last credited role she has was as Kim Sweet in something called Strange Nature in 2018. She would pass away in February of 2019 at the age of 44 due to chronic alcoholism, which I know, big tonal shift. We'll come back to the episode here in a second. I'm just gonna try to keep it light, but keep it brief and move on. I'll tell you that is I know from experience. I've seen it a couple of times. That is a devastating thing to watch and go through. It's terrible, and it's a shame because she was very talented, but her demons got the better of her apparently, and that's absolutely tragic. At least we have this to look back on and to see the kind of talent that she had. In this short couple of seconds, I don't even think it's 30 seconds, you immediately, at least I immediately, really like her. Like, she just gives off this likable energy, especially teamed with Jay Harrington here as Cole. They work. They really do work together, and especially work together with Sam. So Cole asks for an extra suite, or at least a different suite with extra bathroom and more closet space. And Sam says, you never know who might stop by, and who stops by but Liza, his fiance. And she is central casting here. She looks like the evil stepmom on like a Olsen Twins movie. Actually, she does look a lot like what's her name? She played Carol in Friends, Ross's ex-wife, and Hetty on Herman's Head. I forget her name, but she does look, she's got that type. Angular, beautiful, but angular feet, sharper, a couple of sharper features, a couple more angular features that can easily be facially manipulated to be a little bit more sinister, a little less soft. She's beautiful, but that's perfect casting for that kind of a role. Who is she? The character's name is Liza. She is played by actress Jennifer Odell. Jennifer Odell started acting in General Hospital. Boy, oh boy, isn't it funny? First off, say hi again to Sam. Isn't it funny how Las Vegas loves their soap opera actors? She was Lana James in that. She was also in 2 episodes of Renegade in 95. She also guest starred on Beverly Hills 90210 for 3 episodes as Katie and Nancy Ann. So again, say hi to Sam. She's most known for starring in The Lost World as Veronica and/or Abigail Layton, Julia Gesh, and a couple other different roles. She was in that series for 66 episodes and a video. She then went on to do this episode of Las Vegas. The latest thing you can see her in as of 2023 was 13, which was a short, and she played the therapist. Aside from that, she was also in an episode of Modern Family in 2016 as Brenda for an episode. That is Jennifer Odell, and her energy changes. She changes the entire energy of this scene. Sam is taken aback with that giant cookie in her hand. That cookie's I'm glad that she's back to eating. But that cookie's about the size of her head, and she is taken aback by Liza. You can already tell she kind of doesn't really like her. Cole says that they were inspired by seeing all the brides all around. You see, those are models. There's a wedding convention in town, which explains the two brides earlier, and explains the one bride making out with the one guy in the suit while the other groom calls for her. Liza very quickly says that her and Cole are going to get married. They're on that trip this weekend, and that it's going to be Cole's going away party, you see.
Where's Cole going?
Oh, I'm not a real fan of the whole Vegas thing. So this will be our last trip out.
Great.
Through this whole thing, I want you to take a look at Lisa Sheridan's acting, her asides, her glances, the way her face moves as Liza comes into the picture, as Liza talks about her and Cole. Take a look. You can see what her expressions are really trying to say here, can't you? Sam is definitely not impressed with the fact that this will be Cole's last trip out. Ed comes into surveillance to get some coffee. He looks up on the monitor, and wouldn't you know it, they're taking a look at Christina handing out the cookies, and Ed tells Mitch,
Make sure we get it. Table 16, green jacket.
Hey, Mitch. Roll on down to the casino and get me a couple of Christina's cookies. And put it in high, will you?
So apparently Ed knows all about Christina and the cookies. They are Montecito famous. So then Mary and Nessa, my two favorite queens of the Montecito, are huddled up as they're walking and talking. And Nessa is trying to warn Mary about this psychologist. And she is trying to warn Mary that the psychiatrist is going to come in and looking for to hatchet everybody.
So what do you know about this corporate shrink who's interviewing everybody?
That he'll want to justify his job, which means uncovering all sorts of pathological behavior, even if he has to twist your words to do it.
Well, Linda in housekeeping spoke to him. She thought it was very nice.
Which makes him all the more dangerous. I'm telling you, Mary, it's name, rank, and serial number time. No.
Okay.
I trust Nessa. Mary, you should probably take at least a little heed too. So Mike is back up in the Diamond Suite, and he took some chemical samples from the pest control guy, and he figured out that no one actually came into the suite through the window. That window hasn't been open. Ed comes up to the suite. He's got what's left of a cookie in his hand, and here comes the running theme here. Danny is transfixed with the cookie. As soon as Ed comes in, is that one of Christina's cookies? Ed ignores him and goes on talking about the heist, and more specifically, that Archie doesn't have the brains to pull this off, so it couldn't have been him. Mike asks whether the diamond seller has an insurance scam that he's trying to run. Ed runs down that it didn't run out of the window, didn't run out of the door.
Perfect crime.
Hear that, partner?
Partner?
The gauntlet's been thrown,
Right
baby.
down there. Hey, don't show them any cars to park.
No.
Yeah, well, go park your car.
So even Ed is giving Mike a little bit of grief about him trying to play detective. Meanwhile, Ed is met with company shrink, and he's walking and talking with Ed and tells him that he likes to do these interviews on the fly. And he asks why he didn't see Ed's names on the personnel list that was given to him by Ed. And Ed says,
Exactly. It's because you don't need to interview me.
Mr. Brunson thinks I do. Here. See, if Ed DeLine tries to avoid an interview, which I expect he will, have him call me and I will require him to do so.
I can read that.
See, I'm learning something new about you already.
That's swell.
boy, does this guy have balls to say something like that to Big Ed DeLine. Maybe he doesn't know. Maybe he's not aware. Maybe he knows that he's not in the vicinity of any forks. In any event, Ed is not impressed with the guy, and he warns him. He says, "You're not going to dismantle my staff." And the shrink says he'll find Ed, and Ed has one of the receptionists trash the letter from Brunson. Who is that bespeckled psychiatrist? That is Taylor Nichols, born Cecil Taylor Nichols. I dropped that first name too. His first credited role was in Metropolitan in '89 as Charlie Black. He went on to do something with Nealon, Giovanni Ribisi, Vin Diesel, Family, and, am I reading that? Scotty Conn. Oh, the connections here between Fast and Furious, helmed by the Puppet Master, and Scotty Conn, helmed by Big Ed DeLine. Oh yeah, he was in Boiler Room in 2000 as Harry Renard. He then goes on to do this episode of Las Vegas, keeping the Vegas connection together. He does an episode of CSI not long after that. He then goes on to do an episode of The Defenders, which, in case you didn't know, starred Jim Belushi and our very own Jerry O'Connell in 2010. I can't wait to get to the Woody episodes, but we'll have to. We're not there yet. He then goes on, if you can believe this, to do an episode of Battle Creek. That's right. That, in case you didn't know, is the Josh Duhamel show from about 2015. It was better than advertised. Should have been on longer. Boy, isn't that just the curse of Josh Duhamel in television. Should have been on longer. The latest thing you've seen Mr. Nichols in was City of Love as Ted Larson. That is Mr. Nichols. He also did 18 episodes of Pin 15 as Curtis Cone. You might know him from that as well. A lot of kids seem to enjoy that show, and I don't mean kids. I mean adults who act like kids seem to enjoy that show. That is Taylor Nichols. That is the guy that Ed is trying to avoid. In the meantime, let's let the dealer shuffle the deck for a second, and we'll be right back.
I assume you're interested in large amounts of money.
It's Vegas, who isn't?
If you like the podcast and you want to help support it, you can send a Cash App, join our Patreon or Subscribe Star, or buy us a coffee. Just search The Podecito on all those platforms. We see Danny upstairs looking at the security footage of the diamond heist, and he tells Ed that he hasn't seen a psychiatrist, and he's not worried about psychiatrist, except Danny is warned by Ed that the psychiatrist is here to slash personnel.
Your Dr. Feelgood, in the meantime, has had 43 guys ash canned in all our properties. What?
Danny is no longer playing Mr. Smartass.
Oh, excuse me, did I get your attention?
Delinda comes in looking quite lovely in that orange top with some cookies for Ed. Ed is getting all the cookies. Everybody wants to give Ed some cookies from Christina, and Delinda says how much she enjoys them. Danny has said that he just hasn't had one since she's been here. Not one. Delinda does not feel sorry for him, looks him up and down, and takes off.
They got any milk around here? I mean, a cookie this good needs a real good cold glass of milk with it. Away of those.
Before asking about the big guys, the big bodyguards for our diamond seller, and Danny asks,
You're not going to give me that other cookie, are you?
No.
Now, let's take a second to think about Delinda when Danny says that he hasn't had at least one cookie yet. Did that not seem a little purposeful that she only brought cookies up for Ed, specifically while Danny was there, and said, "Oh, I'm sorry for you for not getting cookies"? Doesn't that seem a little? I wonder if they're playing. Must not be anything. We continue as we whoosh through the camera down to the reception area. The doctor just took off just before Mary, Christina, and Liza come dashing through the casino lobby. as they go over wedding plans, and Liza is not being very easy with Mary in terms of the plans, and she's telling her that she's changed the format of the wedding. She doesn't want the garden wedding anymore. She wants the formal wedding, even though Mary ordered the flowers already. And of course she did, because they're trying to put together a big wedding very quickly, but of course they could probably do that in Vegas. Meanwhile, Christina's in the background, and she's listening to Liza not exactly berate Mary, but certainly be very demanding, as if she's ordering a pizza, right? Now she wants something big. She wants something to be in the press, and she has the nerve to ask Mary if she has a problem with getting stuff together, with changing the arrangements on the fly the way she wants them to be. Christina chimes in.
Liza, I forgive me, but I think what you want sounds a lot like the Zeta Jones-Douglas wedding.
Really?
Playing on Liza's ego.
Ostentatious is out.
Absolutely. It's very 2000.
Which was only 4 years ago, but sure. At least of this taping in my head. And Liza says, well, as long as she believes the idea is hers, she thinks that, okay, maybe she should go with the formal wedding, and Mary tells her to go off and do a little shopping. And is very impressed by Christina's handling of Liza.
Zeta Jones wedding. Man, talk about pulling that one out of nowhere.
Liza's, well, she's very predictable. Excuse me, I want to get back to Cole. I always stand next to him when he plays.
That is another very sweet detail. She always stands next to Cole when he plays. She's his good luck charm. Isn't that interesting? But before she goes...
Oh, Mary, I almost forgot. I remembered that you like yours with nuts in them.
Thank you.
Look at how the sweetness that's in this scene, in this screenshot of these two women, it's enough to make you lose a foot. Oh my goodness.
Hey, look, if you'd like a break, just mention my name to anybody at the spa. They'll set you up with whatever you'd like.
That's good on Mary. And that she sweet recognizes sweet. You know how game recognizes game? Sweet recognizes sweet. And the smiles of these two women pass through to us. Oh, this is great. This is just tremendous. And she could tell that Christina probably needs it, deserves it. Mary is then stopped by Dr. Wilson. And Mary has a look on her face as if she's not worried, but is preparing herself for the slash and burn mission that Nessa warned her about, before she looks up at the security camera and we whoosh back to surveillance. So now Danny's aware that Mary's about to have to go in for this evaluation, and Mike is there to stop him, to bring him back to reality and start talking about the case again. Meanwhile, while crunching a cookie and staring Danny dead in the face.
I gotta get me some of those cookies.
Does that not seem a little on purpose?
Look, if you want to play John in my punch, you gotta keep your eye on the prize. You hear me? No. That's the satchel. Archie's in and out. And according to the police report...
Danny is reduced to eating the crumbs off the plate as they go over the copy of the police report and the details of the case. No one goes in or out until the bodyguards do. They go in, discover the rocks are gone, and they can't figure out exactly what happened. The video footage shows nobody went in and out other than the bodyguard, the bellman, and the salesman. So what happened to the diamonds? And also...
Did you guys eat all of Christina's cookies?
I'm sure it was an accident, Danny. So Mary and the doctor sit in front of one of the cars that they're giving away. Everybody's off-put by the doctor. So Mary asks...
Shouldn't I be lying on some sort of a couch or something, telling you about my dreams?
Normally I like to lash my patients to a chair and shine a bright light in their eyes until they break.
And the joke doesn't go well with Mary. She says It's not a good time. She's planning a wedding. And that immediately prompts the psychiatrist to say,
Tell me about your relationship with Daniel McCoy.
Who told you about that? And what does it have to do with my job?
good question, Mary. Very good question. Both of them. How does this guy know about our crew? And should they be worried? So we cut to more of the wedding festival, the wedding event that they have here. Delinda and Sam both have cookies in their hands. How many cookies did Christina make? They both have cookies in their hands as they're walking through the wedding event festivities. And they are talking about how Sam doesn't believe in this wedding.
You're just upset that Liza isn't going to let him gamble.
No, it's not that. Well, it's not entirely that.
And I believe that because Sam is really looking out for Cole here. She says, look at him. That's not happy. And we whoosh through to seeing Cole playing craps. And he doesn't look happy. Everybody else is celebrating at the craps table, which means he should be celebrating at the craps table because if one person wins, everybody wins at craps. That's how it works. We talked about that before. Sam goes over to talk to him and asks how the groom-to-be is, and he's up $15,000. So Cole is up $15,000, which in today's money means he's up $25,225.33. And he's still not happy. For some reason, Sam asks where Christina is, and she's over at the spa, and he seems like he's missing a part of himself. Anyway, we cut to Ed and Danny walking the floor, and as I'm watching this right now, I can see Danny still has at least a little bit of a limp, so I'm wondering when this was filmed. As we discussed in earlier episodes, these episodes of Las Vegas weren't exactly filmed in order, so I wonder if this was filmed more towards the end of Josh's rehabilitation from his injury. In any event, him and Ed are just going over a couple of details regarding the diamond heist, as well as Delinda meeting with the shrink next. She's next on the list. And Danny asks, aren't you afraid that she's going to say something? And Danny have this kind of odd, silly exchange at the beginning.
I'm going to tell you a secret. You know what a secret means, don't you? Yeah. When I was a kid, I worked for the CIA. And she used to make up stories to cover for me. How about that? She's going to be okay.
And Ed gives a smirk. That was an odd little thing. I wonder if it was one of those things where, like, maybe James Caan was like, we know all this. The audience should know most of this already, and didn't want to say the lines because those lines do seem a little stilted. They do seem like they were kind of written at the very, very, very last second, and maybe should have had a little punch up. But maybe that's why that maybe keeps it from being a perfect score, but not as low as everybody else gave it, at least not to me. Anyway, Ed walks off with a smirk, and we see Delinda in Mystique with the psychiatrist. As we're watching this here, we're basically going to hear production music all through this. It's all the same as far as I know. And the doc here is outpaced because he comes in barrels blazing. He asks about what we saw in the pilot. He asks why Delinda brought Danny up in that suite, knowing full well who Danny was and who Danny worked for. And she outsmarts him. She out-psychs the psych. She knows full well that...
Do you think that you wanted to get caught?
To get back at my father for not spending time with me when I was a kid, or for making me worry about him every time he went away on one of his business trips. Because I'm jealous of his relationship with Danny, or because I have to be the focus of attention, even at the risk of embarrassing both my father and my lover?
And the doc is taken aback by how self-aware she is. But also, it almost seems like the doc is kind of flirting with her, because he asks her, do you always take risks? Are you always into this kind of risky behavior? It almost seems like he's trying to flirt with her. It almost seems like he's trying to flirt with her at least a little bit. Bring out the, hey, you want a little wild side? Not really flirting, but kind of gauging, that's not flirting, but kind of gauging how depraved, almost, how sexual Delinda is. But Delinda's more in her analytical mode. She's more just kind of hashing things out. And she asked the doc if he's thinking about Freud or Jung or Adler in his prognostication.
Do you feel compelled to take risks?
Compelled how? Via the psychosexual constructs of Freud or the more ego-neo-analytics of Jung and Adler? Doc, don't tell me you're considering the cognitive ideation theories of Bandura and Kelly. I was a psych major until I realized that the biggest problem people have is that they're boring. So are we done?
I think we are.
Yeah.
Why?
'Cause I'm bored.
So, since we both agree that I'm not...
And the doc has a look on his face like he was just shot down, but then he wipes the sweat off his brow. So I think the doc was a little taken aback by Delinda here and just blown away by her. And maybe it wasn't the sexual part. Maybe it was because Delinda knew about psychology. Maybe, well, not as much as him, but certainly enough to hold his attention and conversation with him in an actual personal but also professional way, at least a little semi-professional way. Maybe that's it. But we cut to the casino floor, and it's Danny and Mike, and Mike wants to go back up to the suite and reconstruct the crime.
You run that by Luis, sir, Columbo?
Danny is still giving Mike some guff about this, and honestly, Danny, you should probably be more concerned about finding yourself one of them cookies. You're on the casino floor. You should probably look for that. So Danny is telling Mike he wants to have Mike just let Metro do their job, but Mike is on the case. He's like a bloodhound on this. He tells Danny that he's going to meet up in the stripper suite just a little bit later. Danny is looking at him like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. In any event, he turns around and there is the psychiatrist. And Danny avoids him like the plague. He avoids him like he's going to catch leprosy from this guy. But too bad, the psych is following Danny through here. And yeah, Danny's definitely walking with somewhat of a different gait as they end up walking through the back area of the Montecito, probably over near some of the loading docks. The doc asked Danny about his relationship with Mary, and Danny completely avoids the conversation. The doc stops and says into his tape recorder,
Problems with interpersonal relationships probably stemming from his mother's premature death.
Shut up about that.
yeah, Danny is still sore about that, as one would imagine. And the doc might have known that he was saying that, because he didn't exactly say it in an inside voice. He didn't yell it, but he wasn't exactly talking in an inside voice. So they stop and they talk, and Danny basically only because Danny needs to apologize to this guy. But the doc knows he's got him right where he wants him, and he says that every problem is a psychological problem, but Danny is talking about all the things he has to do, all the things that are on his plate that he has to take care of.
Mr. McCoy, expressing your feelings might help you deal with all that stress.
I talk plenty with my friends, like Mike well, mostly Mike.
Is there a problem with Mary?
Interesting question, Doc. Interesting way of going about it. Danny's definitely stopped in his tracks, and we go to the Montecito Spa. As we do, here in the spa, we are met with some Asian-sounding production music. Delinda sees Christina, or hears Christina, over in the corner crying as she's walking through the spa there, and she has to sit down with Delinda, or with Christina, and asks what's wrong. Christina reveals to Delinda that she didn't know that Cole's wedding would hit her this hard, and Delinda deduces that...
You don't like Liza? Or is that you like Cole?
Of course I like him.
Like him, love him, don't want to lose him.
And Delinda's got this look in her eye. This isn't boring. So then we cut to Sam and Delinda as they're walking again through the casino and the wedding festivities. And now they're talking about Cole and Christina. And Sam is saying, well, they've been together all these years in a working relationship, but nothing's ever happened. And Delinda deduces that it's both of them were basically too scared. And now that one of them is off the market, the other one is thinking about it, and now's the time for it to go. And so now these two queens have decided, they're deducing that they are about ready to break this wedding up between the two of them.
No, it's too late. No, it's not too late because when I saw Cole at the craps table, he was bummed out. So maybe he's been thinking about Christina too.
You think he doesn't really want to marry Liza?
So I like Sam's little dance here. The wheels are turning.
Tim, this is not a good idea.
Well, all my ideas are good.
All her ideas are good? Okay. Sure. Well, maybe not all of them. We all saw the lights went out in Vegas. Her ideas weren't good then. Some of the time. So Sam asks...
Now listen, on a scale from 1 to 10, how bad do you think it would be if I broke up the wedding the day before it was supposed to happen?
12.
12. Even if I'm keeping an important client?
14.
I'm fine with 14.
Me too.
Oh, the plans have been hatched. The girls are on the mission now. They're on the scent. Something's about to go down here. Ed comes through the casino floor and he talks to Delinda about a whale that he needs to try to get into Mystique. And Delinda seems very flustered, and she reveals to Ed that she is about to break up Liza's wedding. Christina and, Cole and Liza's wedding for Christina. And Ed comes in with sage words of wisdom.
You know, honey, you realize that, taking 2 semesters of psychology in between culinary and fashion school really doesn't qualify you to meddle in this guy's life.
Well, that never stopped you.
Well, Ed he's got other skills, and Ed can't even argue that point at this point. Mike and Danny go into the room, and apparently it's no longer a crime scene, and the jeweler is going to come back into the room very quickly. And Danny was coaxed into this because he was promised a cookie by Mike. So Mike is going to recreate the scene a little bit. They yell for the guards. Mike doesn't have much of a cookie in his hand. I've seen those cookies. Those are giant-sized cookies. Mike maybe has a fourth of a cookie left in his hand, but Danny's so desperate for it. He's feeding for it. He wants that other part of the cookie. So Mike is telling Danny to walk over there to help recreate it because that's where the jeweler called from. And as soon as Danny goes into the other part of the suite, Mike immediately, while staring at Danny, walking to the other side of the room, chomps down on the cookie.
You give me the cookie.
You got it. Afterwards. Go.
Why would he...
This is deliberate. This is a joke. The whole crew has conspired to keep cookies away from Danny. The entire crew has. He literally just told Danny, you can have this cookie after you... First off, Danny, why did you agree to that term? Second, the whole crew has decided to keep these cookies away from Danny for I don't know what reason. But they've decided to keep these cookies away from Danny. So Danny goes into the bedroom. Mike tries to reenact the scene, but the phone is dead. But it's not dead, it's just unplugged. That's an interesting little tidbit there.
Are we done?
You think Watson would have said that to Holmes?
Who says you're Holmes?
Mike wants to talk to Archie the bellman again. Danny is not giving any credence to Mike's clues here, and he really should. Mike is on to a lot here so far. And Danny is kind of reverting a little bit back to early Danny mode where he's not as on the ball as he should be. He's not overzealous about stuff. He's actually being a little bit too underzealous about it. Is that a word? It is now. He's being a little too underzealous about this. Meanwhile, as he's saying this, Mike chops on the last bit of the cookie.
But I'm feeling Archie the bellman.
My apologies. Oh, I barely chewed it.
Just, it's a conspiracy, Danny. It is a conspiracy. They're trying to keep these cookies away from Danny. We whoosh into Mystique, and all the queens are in this scene. We got all the queens in the scene. Look at this, and they're huddled around Christina. As they are all giggling their hearts out, and they are drinking their hearts out. Just the 5 of them, though. If you're watching this on the original version, the song that you're going to hear through this whole thing, actually on all the versions, is I Can Take You Higher by John Kessler and Mark Lakier. The queens are all laughing, and Christina's having a great time, and Sam is just over it. She says, cut the crap. and they all know that Christina is into Cole. And Christina isn't denying it. She's saying they've worked together for too long, and there's no way that Cole is into her. And Sam tells her that she's got to get to work.
No woman gets her man by sitting on her ass.
I do.
Yeah.
Thanks to Linda. And even Nessa semi-rolls her eyes at her sister like, okay, yeah. Christina, the ever sweet and loving Christina, the belle here of this particular episode's ball, asks if breaking up the engagement is wrong. And they all say, no, because they are all in on this plan. The wheels are already in motion. They really don't need your permission, Christina. It's happening. It's gonna happen. So they're just semi trying to convince her. Mary's the only one here who seemingly doesn't have mischievous intentions when she says,
break up the engagement? Isn't that wrong?
No, it's wrong. Not if it's true love. It is true love, isn't it? Yes. Told you.
Even Sam melts a little bit at that. Christina says that Cole doesn't even notice her. That's not... Christina's cute. Christina's a cutie. There's no way Cole wasn't aware of Christina and checking her out and all. There's no way. There was probably things that happened that got in the way it just didn't work. That he decided not to, or try to keep it professional, or whatever the backstory is. But there's no way he didn't realize how gorgeous she is. Sam comes in with where he's not going to be able to take his eyes off you. Christina says,
that's the problem. He doesn't see me that way.
Honey, that's the easy part. When we get through with you, he's not going to be able to take his eyes off of you.
But isn't true love supposed to be blind?
No, it's just a little out of focus.
Why don't you take a little break?
Yeah, that's a good idea. You're gonna stretch the legs, wash the face, refocus.
There you go.
If you're ready to find your fitness family focused on being knowledgeable, being open-hearted, getting results, and having an elevated experience, then you're ready for KORE. That's Core Nutrition Fitness. The NASM certified personal trainers at Core cater to all fitness levels, ages, and body types. Whether it's the Gluteus Maximus and Queen Camp classes for the ladies, or the Minute Monday weight training for everyone. If you're in the Los Angeles area and ready to build better health and great friendships, the Core Fitness family is the place for you. Go to CoreNutritionFitness.com now for details. That's KORE NutritionFitness.com. And then we cut to a fashion montage. Yes, we cut to a fashion montage. If you're watching on the original version, you're going to hear the song Do Your Thing by Basement Jaxx, spelled Jaxx. If you're watching on the DVD, I can't find this song. I wish I could. I can't find the song. It says something along the lines of, now I feel so alive, make it funky now, make it funky now. So some production song, I can't find it. The streaming services, though, has a song called Like a Satellite by Lee Richardson, which came out in 2016. So again, they're sliding in newer songs on their older shows. The mix isn't terrible. It's fine, I suppose. I kind of like honestly, here's one example where I think the original song that they threw in there feels a little lazy, in part because it was even overplayed in 2004 by the time it hit the original airing of Las Vegas. It feels lazy. Like it was played in like every coffee commercial, every getting up in the morning commercial. It was a little lazy. It was kind of J.C. Penney, like all the department stores played the stupid song. It was a little worn out. It was a little worn out. So honestly, this is an example where I think the DVDs or the streaming services has maybe better music than the original airing. This is the one time. But the girls are doing the makeover for Christina. They are picking the fashion. She's having a pedicure and a manicure. And it's not even about Christina. Christina is just sitting there sipping champagne, laughing into the mirror, and her smile is so infectious and so fantastic. The girls are really the ones. They're trying to figure out what the outfit should be, how to make Christina look more beautiful. Sam even comes in with some falsies, which sparks a little bit of Julia Roberts-esque, Pretty Woman-esque laughter out of Christina. And they're having fun. Christina's basically their fashion doll at this point until she finally thinks that she's got the right fit. And she turns around. She's wearing some black thing. Her makeup looks great. Facially, she looks amazing. She turns around and the women are proud of what they did to this girl, Christina. And we will see exactly what they did. It's now Mike's turn to meet with the doc. And Mike he's got those. James LeJour has got to be 6 feet tall because he's probably a basketball player. That's probably where he got the muscles from the last episode. He's got the build of a ball player. And he's got the stride. We saw him running in that other episode too. So he either played basketball, plays basketball, or ran/runs track. He's got that kind of build. So I'm gonna say basketball, but he was good at laps. He probably did organized basketball because he's definitely got a stride on him. And he's walking with a stride. Like he is trying to lose this doc, but the doc is still there with him. And he has to basically give the doctor his speech about how he's happy as a valet. He didn't want to use his technical degree anywhere else. But then the doc asks, why are you running around playing cop? And Mike used that as an excuse to beat it, to not have to talk to the doc. And he passes right by Big Ed, who basically tags Mike out of that situation. And the doc is still trying to get Ed to come in for an evaluation. Ed says, how about the 12th of never? And the doc decides he's going to play a little bit of hardball with Ed.
How about the 12th of never?
Well, how about 5 o'clock tomorrow? I'll tell Brunson you're going to be there so you won't forget.
Why don't you call him now and tell him I forgot tomorrow?
And we pass by and we see Mary. By the way, this is another one of those great shots. They are using as much of the space as possible. They've gone past their... You know how I talk about their hallway that I don't like ever since Mike and Danny did that stupid pace back and forth where they pace back and forth like 5 times. They're using that technique here in this smaller area of the casino. They're again doing that thing where they're using economy of the size of the space that they're in. We saw Mike and the doc cross from screen left to screen right. We then saw Ed come back in and have him and the doc cross back over to screen left. We then see Mary cross back over towards screen right. All in one continuous shot. Very good. The prolific Timothy Busfield. Very good work. Mary is catching up with Liza, who, by the way, say what you want to about her character, she looks fantastic in this scene and in the episode. She's just cold. It's like she's mean. Like she's just a mean Karen vibe. She's hot though. Like you can see how a cold could fall for her. And her and Mary are walking through, and Mary is telling Liza that they can't get any of the entertainment that she wants on short notice. You know, Bruce, Brittany, U2, And Liza cuts in when...
I've been working on the music for your reception. Bruce is performing at Shea, Bono's on holiday in Stad, and Brittany, well, you know, Brittany won't leave with Holmes.
So what you're telling me is that you failed?
So I'll keep looking?
And she walks away. I want to know where Liza was going. She looks like she wasn't going to get something to eat with that mean mug on her face. She looks like she wasn't going to gamble with that mean mug on her face. But she was stomping like she was walking with a purpose. And her purpose was to cause misery, apparently. Mary says she'll keep looking. We cut into the Bella Sara, and there is Sam with another one of Christina's cookies. I gotta get me one of these cookies. I'm kind of feeling like Danny here at this point. The psychiatrist is there to meet her, and as he does, we're met with production music again, and she reveals to the doc that she is feeling a little bit bad about breaking up Cole's wedding. A little.
If I were you, I'd check my tea leaves, Doc. See, I'm not upset that I did it. I'm upset that it's bothering me. A little.
Okay. Maybe you're developing a conscience.
No, maybe I'm losing my edge.
We've heard this before, haven't we? Sam is saying that she can't let herself lose that edge. She can't feel human emotion. She's a casino host. After all, she is. But she's our casino host. She's Sam Marquez. You know she's got heart. We've seen it. We've seen it so many times here. We saw it in the pilot. We've seen it so many times. But she gives the story about how she's unpacked her bags, how she's made friends, how she's starting to put down roots, and that feels uncomfortable for Sam. And this is another theme that we've seen start to take hold here in the series so far, but will continue to take hold here. Sam putting down roots when she realizes that it's happening feels scary for her.
I'm gonna have to put a stop to all that.
How?
I think it's time for me to work somewhere else. Oh, there you go. Thanks, Doc.
Wait a minute, Sam. Wait, Hummingbird. Hummingbird, we'll get back to her. Liza and Mary are crossing the casino again, this time with Cole. And Liza is fed up with the fact that Mary can't seem to get anything that Liza wants on a moment's notice, even and especially when she changes her mind on half a moment's notice. And then she goes to go get herself a drink. Mary asks him why is he marrying Christine or Liza. And Cole says he thought he loved her, but the thought of losing Christina, it complicates things. How complicated is it, Cole? How complicated is it? We'll also make it a little bit more complicated because just at that moment, Mary glances over and we see Christina upstaging the brides with the shoes and that just well-cut dress with the strap top over her shoulders and that face. Oh, she is gorgeous. And very nice with all the other brides looking at her. Now, of course, they're models. But all the other brides looking at her like, damn, who is this girl? Very nicely done. And we see Jay Harrington, and notice the way Mary looks at Jay looking at Christy, or Mary looks at Cole looking at Christina. They can't take their eyes off. Between the three of them, they can't take their eyes off each other. It's hilarious on Mary's part because we know how much of a romantic Mary is. But it's sweet on these guys' part, man. I like these guys. I like Christina and Cole already. They've only been in our lives for the better part of a half hour, and I already like them. And by the way, if you freeze on this or you watch this, you can see why Hollywood liked this Jay Harrington guy. Like, he's a good-looking guy. You can see why they like to cast him and stuff. So they can't take their eyes off each other until Jay sees Liza coming. His eyes start to get a little bit wider, and he sees Liza coming behind Christina, and Liza drags Cole away. But wait a minute, here's Antonio just coming up. Who's this guy Antonio coming up to Christina, and she walks off with him to get a drink?
Hi, I am Antonio.
Christina.
It's a pleasure to meet you. Would you care for a drink?
Sounds great.
Did you see that look on Mary's? Did you see it? Did you see the look on Mary's face? If you're listening to this, you can watch the look on Mary's face either on the DVD or you can go to the Rumble page and you can see it. Or you can join any of the ways that you enjoy the podcast and support it. Patreon, buy me a coffee, all that sort of stuff. And I will post the videos. Well, Buy Me a Coffee doesn't allow for video, which is strange. But you can see it on Rumble for free with ads, or you can go and see the ad free on the Patreon, etc. But the look on Mary's face tells a story in and of itself. Music cue here on the Christina reveal through the bride's sequence. That song on all versions is a song called Class Affair. AFFAIRE by AXS Music on all versions. We cut to Luis and Mike in a parking lot trying to follow up on the case, and Luis is in a hurry. You see, he's got a date with Mary and he's already late. Hold on. That's still going? Huh. Keep note of that. We're on episode 21 and the Luis and Mary thing is still happening. Okay. I'm not saying I dislike it. I'm just saying take note of it. We'll come back to that in future episodes. So Mike is trying to give his hypothesis of the break in the case that he thinks he's come up with, and Luis doesn't believe him until they're shot at in the parking lot.
Boy, the living room telephone was disconnected, probably by Archie. Now, I don't know why he did it, but I think he was in on the heist.
Because of a bum phone. You sure?
Pretty sure.
And then we cut back into the surveillance room. Ed is worried about Mike, and he is giving it to Luis for even putting Mike in that situation with him. Matter of fact, Ed is eyeing Luis like he wants to kill him before Mike has to tell him that it's okay. It's the fact that him and Danny went into the suite and somebody probably saw them. Let's take a look at, just look at Ed's expression here.
You all right?
Yeah, I think so.
Hey, did you get the guy that threw the shots?
We're still looking.
What the hell's the matter with you? The kid's a civilian. You know that. What is the matter with
It
you,
wasn't his
Luis?
fault, Mr. D. Danny and I went back to the suite, and I kind of made Danny go, and I think someone must have seen us.
Bettis.
What do they
Is
got?
that true? Yeah.
Put them through to me. Thanks, guys.
So Ed has calmed down at least a little bit. He's not trying to kill somebody. Luis comes back in with news that the ballistics from the shot that the bullets that were shot at them came from Archie, the bellman. And boy, they have to go back to him. And we go back to the wedding events, and we see the beautiful brides getting pictures taken there. Sam and Cole are walking through the festivities, and Cole is asking about who is this Antonio guy that just all of a sudden came up with Christina. Oh, wait a minute. Who's this other who wants to come in and take a look at this Christina gal that's been around me this whole time that I'm just now jealous of? Music cue here as Sam and Cole are walking through and Cole's asking about who this Brazilian tycoon guy is. The song on all versions is a song called Take You Away. Take You, the letter U, Away by Black Magic, BLAKMAJIK, Jethro East, and Tobias Best. Sam gives a story that it's a Brazilian tycoon. As I said, gives the story. And in comes Delinda, conveniently, asking if they're looking for Christina, and she just happens to be in Mystique, and she's going to go there if you want to join. And Delinda and Cole take off. Sam takes a look, again, very deviously, but that's Sam's expression almost all the time. Ed and Danny walk through the casino. They're talking about the psychiatrist, and Danny thinks that he knows why Ed is actually upset at this.
This has got nothing to do with wasted man hours. You want me to tell you why this bugs you so much?
Oh, please. I mean, no great one. Yeah, explain it.
Because you can't control what everybody's telling them. That's why.
I see. Let me ask you, is that the geek's theory or is that you?
It's my theory.
I see. We'll keep your day job, all right?
No, though, Ed, I think that's part of it. But realistically, Ed is trying to keep his team together. We've seen how loyal Ed can be towards his team as far back as the case of Mike getting sued by the stripper, right? So we know how fierce Ed can be in defending his people. As we enter the Mystique, we hear a song called Descarga Cuatro Manos by D.A.M.N. The band is D-A-M-N with periods in between those letters, and you hear this song on all incarnations. Seems like Christina is having a great time dancing with Antonio. Delinda's having a great time. The only one not having a great time is Cole, and you can tell he's off his game. He cuts in. Delinda helps him cut in. So it's not so abrupt, and they have a conversation, and they're both nervous. Christina even calls him beautiful.
You look beautiful.
You do too. I mean, not beautiful, but you know what I mean.
It's almost a meet cute, but they've known each other for over 8 years, but they're stammering and hammering, and that just endears Christina to you more, doesn't it? Anyway, Cole is having this conversation with her, and he's basically trying to get her away from Antonio. His first swing is a big one at the bat where he says that Antonio is gay, and Christina doesn't believe him, especially the way he's dancing with Delinda. Cole doesn't even believe it. He's breaking down, he's saying, well, look at him, he probably doesn't even know it. Oh, sure. Cole says that he doesn't want Christina to get hurt. That's all. And now the story changes from this guy Antonio is gay to this guy Antonio is a player, and he's just going to take what he wants from Christina. And Christina can tell that something's up, but the look on her eyes, on her face, says a lot. But she goes ahead with this next thing, and she says, well, I'm glad you came, because something I need to tell you. And she seems like she's getting her courage up.
I'm giving you my notice.
You're quitting?
Yes. We both know Liza doesn't want me around, so thanks for everything. I'll send for my things.
And Cole is taken aback by that, as he should be. He really is about to lose Christina here. What is he going to do? He doesn't know. Antonio is dancing again with Christina just as Ed comes into the picture.
Which one's gonna be? Excuse me? No, which one? The brunette or that blonde I saw you with earlier?
Like he doesn't know who these people are. Ed has been bogarting Christina's cookies this whole episode. But Cole reveals to him that he's supposed to marry the blonde tomorrow. And Ed is basically giving him the wisdom of the ages.
See, if I was drooling over, one girl the night before I was going to marry another, I mean, it's a pretty good bet that I probably wouldn't say I do the next day. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, have a nice night. Yeah, thanks.
So meanwhile, while the queens are up here trying to plot and plan to do some elaborate scheme to get these two together, Ed just cuts to the bone and says, which one? See which plan works better. Nessa comes up to the psychiatrist who's at one of the blackjack tables and asks Nessa about how her father worked for Ed DeLine, which immediately gets Nessa into the picture. Now, you better be careful here, Doc. I saw what you did to the other queens of the Montecito. You better be careful here. So the doc asks about the relationship between Nessa's dad and Ed DeLine, and Nessa gives the spiel about how Vegas people are different than other people. They're not exactly normal. Which, to some extent, I've known some people that have moved to Vegas on the whim of changing their lives, doing different things. And you're right, they were a little different. They were definitely different. And so the doc immediately asks,
Is that why you can work for the man who might be responsible for your father's death?
Stand.
But Nessa's right there. Nessa knows how to take care of him. Hit her. She dares him to play. Hit her stand. She doesn't even answer the question.
Hit me.
Normally one doesn't hit on 17.
Maybe I'm not normal either.
So Sam meets Cole at the Belisara, and Cole's made up his mind. He's going to end it. Sam thinks it's because of the plan, but Cole lets her know that no, it's not that. He just realizes that it wasn't right with Liza and that it's definitely right with Christina. He says it hit him all of a sudden. And he asks Sam if he's a jerk for going after his assistant. And Sam assures him that he should go after her and do what he needs to do. But Cole basically says that it's like a veil got lifted over his eyes. Really, he just needed to be confronted with the issue head on. All the as fun as that montage was, and the girls making Liza over, or Christina over, I keep saying Liza, making Christina over, and all that stuff was, Cole just really needed to be confronted with it. He needed to, it's happening now or never. She's leaving now or she's not. With you or on her own, or with somebody, whether with somebody else or not. It's either going to be with you or without you. And he figured that out.
No, it wasn't me that.
Really?
No, it's like if someone has just lifted a veil from my eyes. And it doesn't matter who she was with or what she was wearing. I have to go tell Liza.
Yes. Go follow your heart.
And so Cole went to go tell Liza, and we cut very quickly to Danny and Mike cutting through their hallway. This looks better this time. To try to go and figure out what happened in the suite. Liza bursts through the doors of Mystique because she just got told by Cole that it's over.
D, mission accomplished. They left?
And there's a vein. There's a vein. Or a vein or two that pops out on Liza's neck. That is peak. Not lividity? Peak lividity. She is livid. She looks like she's going to destroy Tokyo. She looks like she's coming to destroy her arch. She looks irate isn't the word. But it's fine because we don't like her. We don't like Liza anyway. Sam tells Cole that Christina went off to the airport with the Brazilian tycoon, and the look on Cole's face like he may have already missed her. Mike and Danny and Luis are in the parking lot checking Archie's car, breaking into Archie's car, but Luis acts like he doesn't see it, but he can't act like he doesn't see Archie in the trunk with a bullet in his head. So we're back in surveillance, and they're going over the footage because obviously Archie was in on it or had something to do with it, otherwise he wouldn't have been a target. Mike is going over the footage one more time. He's checking out the shadows. Danny, for one more time, I was going to say for the last time, but it's not for the last time, is dismissive of Mike, who has been right the whole time, is dismissive of Mike again, checking out the footage and talking about the shadows and how people got in or out. Ed, on the other hand, is playing along with them.
The shadows. Two of them disappear when Rosenberg and one of the guards enters the bedroom.
Two shadows, two people. Am I missing something here?
Well, here's the other shadow of the guard that stays in the living room. You see this? The shadow gets longer, but not wider.
So that means he can't be walking towards the door. You had to be going, what, up? Towards the ceiling?
I'll be damned. Come on.
And they all take off towards the hotel room. But we don't see that yet. We whoosh through the Vegas Strip down to McLaren? Down to the airport. And Cole is whisked down there in the Montecito SUV by Delinda and Sam, as Christina's about to get on the private plane with the Brazilian, who tells him that she doesn't want anything to do with him. But Cole is sitting there and he's giving the speech, the rom-com speech, pouring his heart out. After he saw her, he had to be with her.
Okay, but there's something that I have to tell you. See, earlier at Mystique, I didn't say what I really wanted to say.
Really?
What I wanted to say, screw it, I love you. And I've loved you since the day you came to work for me. Christina, I said I love you. Did you hear me?
That's a great speech. Christina wisely asked about Liza.
No, it's over. Look, I know it's not fair to you, and I don't even know if you feel the same way, but the thing is,
Oh, it was a beautiful rom-com ending. Look at this, the big speech, the big declaration of love, the third act declaration. I love you. I've always loved you. It's always been you. Oh, it just tugs at the spot in my chest where her heart used to be. It just, you know what I mean? And Sam and Delinda are squealing at this. It's almost a little sad that Mary couldn't be there to see it, because it almost seems like she would be the one that would appreciate this the most, but it's good to see that they had this moment there to kind of warm and squeal probably the two, what I said, Sam's certainly the coldest heart of the queens of the Montecito. Delinda, I don't know that Delinda's got a cold heart. She's just not in that romance phase for her right now, but I like that these two are the ones that are enjoying it. I kind of wish Mary would have been there, but maybe not. Delinda and Sam see just how deep that kiss is going to be, and they decide that they're going to walk off. Hold on a second. Let's get a new deck in here, and we'll be right back. You're listening to Rainy Days Don't Get Me Down by Anthony Njoku. If you like what you're hearing, want to hear it again, hear more, or both, just go to tinyurl.com/anjoku. That's tinyurl.com/anjoku. As we cut back into the hallway, we've got Luis, Ed, Danny, and Mike all going to the room to try to investigate exactly what happened. As they do in the original version, we hear the song Don't Worry About It by Nerd, with periods in there too. If you're watching on the DVD, the song is The Booty Shakin' Queen, The Booty Shakin' Queen by Zan Passante, Zan Passante. And if you're watching on the streaming services, it is a not so great AI song talking about getting down. And also, if you're watching on the DVD, this is one of those scenes that is supposed to be allegedly uncut. You're not really seeing much of anything. Like, it's not, you're watching because you like the show. Anyway, the jeweler's in there. He never says a word through this whole thing. A stripper gets a better line than he does. But we're in the room, and I think this is another one of those scenes that on the DVD, it's just longer. It's a little bit longer. I think they kind of loop the scene a little bit, so you get a little extra B-roll footage so that they can say it's longer, uncut. Okay, guys, listen. Okay. So anyway, this is the part where Mike really pays off. So first of all, when he's not entranced by the women, and sure, all the guys are entranced by the women, if we're being perfectly honest, except for the two bodyguards. Mike decides he's going to lay out his theory for the case. This is a great scene here by Mike where he lays this whole thing out.
You be Rosenberg. Archie, Ed, I'll be Archie. Archie has an identical bag hidden on his luggage cart. This here is his luggage cart. Now, he goes through his paces. This is your minibar, sir. This here's your fags. This here is your phone, the one he unplugs. Now, out comes the palm for the tip. Put the bag down, pay the man. Now, during which time, Archie and his two Hawaiian friends over there rock the misdirect. Hey, Kainoa, you still on Atkins? Rosenberg turns. Archie makes the switch, hides the diamonds. A couple of hours later, Rosenberg opens an empty bag.
One question, where's Colonel Mustard? Just shut up and let him finish.
That is the last time Danny detracts from Mike in this episode. Mike has been right about everything so far. Ed rightfully tells him to shut up and let Mike continue.
He panics, yells for Kainoa and Gore to come inside. Now, Rosenberg tries to call security, but the phone's dead. It's not working in here. It's been unplugged. So he runs into the bedroom, makes a call in there, which gives Gore there enough time to grab the diamonds.
We didn't find any diamonds on him.
Excuse me, ladies, if you don't mind. It's a great show. Great show. Excuse me, if you don't mind.
And as soon as Mike starts making his way towards the pole, the two big bodyguards take off. And this scene is hilarious because you have Danny and Luis on these guys' backs like they're backpacks. And they're trying to choke him out. Just trying to choke her down, trying to take her down. Through the hallway, all they manage to do is slow them down slightly. They're almost like children on these guys' backs, and it's nice to see Luis get in on this kind of action. He's usually playing so serious. It's nice to see him get in on this madcap action, even though he gets run into a wall and is about to get hit. Ed has to stop him. And so Danny and Luis pull the two big guys back in on handcuffs and guns with Ed right there with them. Mike manages to unscrew the vent.
Okay, they reached into the ceiling through this vent. Then they dropped the rocks into the bowl.
Are those for us?
Now, here's the thing about that. The bag that they threw in there, it was a cloth bag. It was fairly stuffed into the pole. Like, the logistics of them getting the bag up the vent, okay, fine. But then into the stripper pole, like, they would have had to been up there for at least a few seconds to kind of stuff that particular bag into the hole, into the pole, right? Like, it wouldn't have just, like, kind of slipped in almost like, you know, your keys and, like if you ever had, like, a pair of keys, like your wallet and, like, just a paper bag or a plastic bag from the grocery store. You just had like one little thing in there and you can kind of toss it in there. That would be something you can kind of like toss in there with something like a plastic bag. But the cloth bag that they had and the length of that bag, it wasn't even like a small bag. You can kind of do that with a smaller bag. But I guess you could kind of, from like the top, I guess the theory is that the whole thing doesn't have to be in there, just some of it. I don't know. We'll try to ignore the logistics of that just because that caper was so fun. We then see the Vegas Strip, and the bride/models are in Belisara, and they are wiped out. They've had a long day. And Sam is with Antonio. Wait a minute, I thought that was the billionaire. He's just a bartender at Belisara. What happened?
Thank you for being my Brazilian millionaire, Antonio. You were great. You kidding? I almost fell for you.
Hey, Sam, is there any chance I can get the jet for the weekend?
No chance in hell.
Hey, you know, Liza's a single woman
Stop.
now.
And I like this Antonio guy. In his short amount of scenes here, he does play it up. That's a good little scene there by Antonio. Meanwhile, Sam walks away and she's trying to get in contact with Steve Wynn. What? Wait a minute. The owner of the Wynn and other Vegas casinos? Why would she need to do that? So the psychiatrist is in the office with Ed, who offers him, by the way, some of his scotch, but the psychiatrist just puts it down. He doesn't drink it at all. The psychiatrist is trying to get something out of Ed, and Ed...
What are you afraid of?
Losing control.
Explain. Elaborate.
I had one other session with a psychologist, and I guess I started to feel that he was asking me a few too many questions, and I apparently snapped. They said that I had my fingers around his throat when they pulled me off of him. I'm sorry, are we through?
I think we are.
That warrants the psychiatrist to kind of get up and walk away. I think a little bit out of fear. You could definitely see him tensing up as Ed was giving him this spiel about psychiatrists and losing control and waking up. So the psychiatrist is about to leave, and Ed pulls him back in real quick. And now the doc takes a sip of the scotch. And now Ed's leveling with at least a little bit that he's always tried to do the right thing, but it hasn't always been what most people would call the right thing. And the psychologist actually kind of relates to Ed on some level. So we see Mary in the lobby, and we see Cole and Christina, and oh, look at this. Aren't they just in love? And you can tell, and Christina putting her head on his shoulder, and they decided that they want to get married while they're here. And it turns out Mary still has the plans and stuff from the wedding that was supposed to be Liza and Cole's. And I think it's going to be Christina and Cole's. And we cut to the psych with Ed. And the psych is giving Ed the rundown of all the things that he spotted with the Montecito crew. And it's a long list. He'll tell you.
What is the prognosis on my crew?
Well, let's see. Acute post-traumatic stress disorder, repression, separation anxiety, autonomic arousal, depression, avoidant personality disorder, of course, the ever-present attention deficit disorder, and when it comes to you, slight alexithymia, and should we say a mild case of voluntary dissociative amnesia?
I got that.
Now, you're not going to pretend you know what all that means.
The voluntary dissociative disorder, I can figure it out. He's talking about how he knows Ed was BSing him in the office about pretending to choke out a psychologist. And he says, everybody on your staff is nuts. And Ed is about to cut him off, but the doc tells him that he came there to see how they function as a team, not individually. And they function very well as a team, which makes me wonder exactly what happened in New Orleans, that he couldn't get the team to function. Well, I guess I could kind of see, but even then, we only saw 3 members of the team. We really didn't see what Pops could actually do. We were seeing, so maybe that was it. Maybe it almost seemed like the New Orleans crew was working more individually than as a team, in part because they were working with the Montecito team in that episode, but maybe when the doc went to New Orleans, he was seeing them more on the individual level as opposed to on the team level. And it's not like John Castillo seemed to be much of a quote-unquote team player to begin with, although his relationship with AJ seemed to suggest maybe otherwise. Maybe with family it's a little different, and AJ could be family. Who knows? But the doc is not there to do individual assessments. He likes the Montecito team, as he should, which lets us know the doc isn't entirely crazy. He then asks Ed, with this giant cheese on his face, where to cash out.
Where do I cash out?
Cage is over there by the sports book. Listen, man, I just need to ask you, what possessed you to hit on that 17?
It's Vegas. I took a shot.
You know, you need to go talk to somebody.
maybe the doc isn't so bad after all. And then it's Mike coming up to Ed, talking about how he was able to put the pieces together of the diamond heist. And Ed then turns Mike around and says,
Hey, kid. I'm real proud of you.
Man, that's so cool. Again, the camaraderie, the teamwork, the hierarchy, I just love it so much on this show. And it's little moments like that. It's little moments like that that are so cool. And we then cut to the wedding of Cole and Christina. And again, Christina just looks so beautiful here. She just looks amazing here in that dress. That's an interesting looking dress. That's a nice looking dress. It's a nice, simple dress. The cut on top is a little different. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that on a wedding dress, but it definitely looks good on and fits her. We hear a musical cue here. If you're watching on the original version, you will hear This Will Be, parentheses, an Everlasting Love by Natalie Cole. Great song. Very fitting song. Amazing song. It works. Best song for this scene. If you're watching on the DVD, you'll hear a song called Finally in Love by Alan Ett and Scott Leggett. I almost want to say we've heard that before on the DVD version of the show. And if you're watching on the streaming services, the song is Love Me Up by Andy Powell, Emily Taylor, and Linda Rowan from 2011. And it sounds like a retro Temu version of a... What's that girl's name? Meghan Trainor song. I almost forgot Meghan Trainor. And I liked All About That Bass, too. It sounds like a Wish version of a Meghan Trainor song, trying to be retro, but none of the, I almost hesitate to say this, soul of Meghan Trainor, if that translates well. Take that however you want to take that. But yeah, it sounds like that. I almost thought it was an AI song, if I'm being perfectly honest. But it's a real song. It's called Love Me Up. The Natalie Cole version is better. And we see Cole and Christina exchanging their vows and looking at each other with happiness. Nessa's slightly tearing up. Delinda is almost straight out crying. Well, Nessa's not tearing up. She's got a wistful look on her face. Bad wig. Wistful look on her face, though. Delinda's definitely tearing up. And then we whoosh over the other side, and we see Luis smiling and Mary looking admiringly up at Luis, and then immediately looking over at Danny, who's looking at the festivities. And what? And Mary is looking at both of them. But here's the thing. If you go back and you look at it, and she kind of shoulder bumps Danny. But here's the thing, though. She looks at Luis, but when she looks at Danny, she smiles. She smiles when she's looking at Danny.
This will be an everlasting love. This will be the one I've waited for. This will be the first time anyone has loved me. Oh, I'm so glad you found me in time, and I'm so glad that you rectified my mind. This will be
the dairy shipper community. We're fine with Luis. Luis is a good guy. But she smiled when she looked at Danny. And caused Danny to even smile a little bit. And taking a big sigh at the ceremony that they're witnessing here. And we whoosh out from those festivities up to surveillance, and Ed's got one more chocolate chip cookie from Christina. Honestly, that looks like a... what kind of cookie is that? That looks like a... I want to say Starbucks big cookie, because Starbucks had big cookies. Well, they still do. I haven't been to Starbucks in a minute. Well, like Starbucks big cookie that they probably just got a bunch of. for the show. But yeah. And then we fade out, and that's the episode. That's Family Jewels. I love this. This is a really good episode. This is a really good, really fun episode. And it does tug at the heartstrings. It is girly, but it's the best of the girly stuff. Like, again, the end airport scene where the big declaration of love and the silly scheme to get the two leads together and the montage with the makeup and the fashion and stuff. All that's very girly. But it's fun girly, and it's accessible girly for guys, if we're being perfectly honest. So it's not like just ridiculous cheese that guys can't really even access. Like, I still had fun with this episode. I still had a lot of fun with this episode. It's a great episode, which is why everybody else giving it an aggregate of a C-. Are you kidding? Are you kidding? My rating for this episode is not anywhere in the 7s. No. My rating for this episode is, maybe I'm just feeling the vibes, the afterglow of the Strange Life of Bob. I'm giving this a 9. Strange Life of Bob had 9.5. I'm giving this a 9. I like this episode, which equates to about an A-, but I like this episode. This is great. No, Kendrick. I said A-. Anyway. I like this episode. I really like this episode. You immediately know who the characters are. And again, this is the perfect episode of why I think Las Vegas fits in a show like a Love Boat. You get the characters that come in, you get to know their lives, and this, especially in an episode like this, because it's about love. It's about the relationships between the characters that came in. That's really the A plot. They come in, they have their love affair, there's a triangle, there's somebody who you immediately don't like, so you don't feel bad when she gets jilted, and so the affable leads that you actually do like can fit together, and if you watch close enough, and you look at the color coordination of their outfits, especially early on, and how their colors usually contradicted with the colors that Liza was wearing, even those little details come into play. And that's definitely something. Another note here that I thought about while I was recording this was the function of the psychiatrist to come in and ask questions of the Montecito crew the way he asked questions of the Montecito crew. It almost seemed like a device to introduce us, the viewer or new viewers, to the Montecito crew. The way that they were explaining stuff, and that line that I was talking about with Danny and Ed, the way it was structured about, Delinda, when I was in the CIA, would make up stories about me. All that seems like it's introducing new people to the show, which is something that happens during Sweeps Week. So I looked it up, and this episode aired April 26th, which seemingly is around the time May Sweeps starts, the end of April into May. I think this was an example of of Las Vegas trying to hit the highest numbers that they could for Sweeps Month, for the Sweeps period. Not Sweeps Week, but the Sweeps period, I guess the month of May. This felt like a Sweeps episode. This little inside baseball. Sweeps is really when shows try to get their highest ratings so that they can get the highest advertising dollar for what they produce for the network, right? It's almost like a back to school night for advertisers to come in and say, "Oh, that show's doing big numbers. Let's put more money into them." Right? And they use those numbers in terms of advertising for the show. This feels like a Sweeps, and a lot of times with Sweeps, they think they're going to draw in new viewers, bigger viewers, so they try to reintroduce, especially a show like this, that's especially on its first season, you're trying to get more people in. It almost feels like a reintroduction, right? Which, a perfect example of that would be Scrubs. The My Musical episode, that, I have to look up the date, But I feel like that was a sweeps episode because the songs were all stuff that people who watched the show already knew. But introduced the characters in ways that if you hadn't seen the show before, if for some reason you're like, I want to check this show out because I like this and I like that, or I heard about this and I'm curious, which you actually still see in reactions. There are reactions to that episode that are on YouTube, and a lot of the reactions are like, oh, I've never seen Scrubs, but now that I've seen this episode, I want to check it out. That's what this feels like. This feels like an introductory episode to somebody who's never come to the show before, but those that have been on the bandwagon of the Montecito for this long already know what's up. That's what this episode feels like. And I think it works in that aspect. I think it works in most aspects, if being perfectly honest. That's why I gave it a 9. But my rating does not count. I don't matter. You do. You matter. Your rating vote. Your rating counts. I want to know what you think about this episode. Did you like the I still haven't figured out exactly why it was called the Family Jewels. Like, sure, the jewel heist, but what was the family part? Like, anyway. It's called the Family Jewels. And it's not even a reference to... Anyway, it's called the Family Jewels. And this is one of my favorite episodes of the first season. I liked it, but what did you think of it? Let me know in all the places you find the podcast, including but not limited to whatever device and or platform you're listening to this on or watching this on, as well as Twitter. We're at the Podecito, as well as the Facebook group, either the page or the group. The Las Vegas, the series, is it the series Las Vegas TV series, Facebook group? It's linked on the Reddit page, the Reddit Las Vegas page. You can find it there. Are there any other places that anybody's talking about this show, Las Vegas? Let me know. I'd like to get in on those discussions as well. You can help support the show. How could you help support the show? You know, me being a wealthy whale that Sam Marquez would be trying to tie down. Well, there are all sorts of different brackets that you can sign up for on the Patreon and Buy Me a Coffees and stuff, and they have different perks there, some of which will be changing, actually. I'll be adjusting some of the perks. I'll let you know right now that I already have adjusted some of the perks, that now if you become a member for as little as $1 a month, you will get the audio version of the podcast ad-free. If you sign up for as little as $5 at the $5 bracket, you will get the video version ad-free on the platforms. So that is, even though it may not say that as of recording this or as of you listening to this, the plan is, I've already made the changes on the Patreon, and we'll make the changes on the other platforms as well. Although, again, I still haven't figured out, I think Buy Me a Coffee, they still haven't fixed that portion of the site right now, so all you can get is audio, but I'm working on that. Things are in motion. Things are happening. Wheels are in motion. You can support that way if you don't have the means to support that way. If you're not some big wealthy whale who wants to donate $10,000 for a trip to Vegas, which is it's a real perk that's on there, you can just share. You can share it. You can share it with members of the crew, with cast members, with people who worked on the show that you may know, with people that you know who like the show. That's what it's for. It's to build the Las Vegas community. And you can do that, and that don't cost you nothing. Don't cost you nothing but a click. We appreciate that, as well as liking, as well as subscribing on all the platforms you can, that you like it, etc., retweet, all the stuff that you do to help support. We appreciate that. Next week is another exciting episode. This is a good episode, too. This is a good episode, not as light and as back a little bit more towards the Strange Life of Bob, heart-pounding sort of prospect. We're talking about The Big Bang, episode 22. The Big Bang, which is quite the interesting episode with a lot of different notes on it. I enjoy that episode a lot. I think you will as well. So I'll see you then. In the meantime, the in-between time, thank you for joining me here on the Podecito. I appreciate you. And as always, before we go, please remember, don't be like Danny. Secure the cookie first before you go through the reenactment of the crime scene. Oh, yeah, and also, as always, Take care.
No guilt, no shame, no pity. You play the game, baby, in Sin City. Can't take the heat, you can't take